Hello everyone, welcome back. As you know that we are solving the paper of RBI Grade B exam for phase 2 and many questions have already been discussed. So in this video we are going to discuss about the rest of the questions, that is starting from question number 51. So the question number 51 talks about all money costs can be regarded as A. Social cost, 2. Opportunity cost, 3. Explicit cost, 4. Real cost, or none of this. Now, the basic thing is what is an opportunity cost, right? Many of you might not know what is an opportunity cost. So, opportunity cost is that which involves an actual expenditure of money, which is an explicit cost. An explicit cost is a payment which is associated with running a business, which can be clearly defined and identified. Okay. Explicit cost reduces the profits a business makes by eating into the company's bottom line. Now, I can give you some examples of it that may be rent, utility payments, wages, salary, material, service, taxes, etc. So all these costs are concrete and they can easily account for the financial statements, right? So basically then this is explicit cost. So all money cost can be charged or can be defined or can be classified as explicit cost. So I'll mark this as my correct answer. Explicit cost is the correct answer to question number 51. Next, moving on to question number 52. This is again an assertion reasoning question. Assertion says that MBO is effective way of planning and organizing the work. Reasoning says employees participate in setting the objectives. Codes are both A and R are true and R is the correct explanation of A. Both A and R are true and R is not the correct explanation of A. A is true but R is false. A is false but R is true. Both A and R are false. So these are the codes or the combination of codes that we have. So let's look into the question. It says MBO is effective way of planning and organizing the work. What is MBO? MBO is a management system in which the objectives of the organization are agreed upon so that the management and employees understand the common way forward. Okay, MBO is management by objectives, and that aims to serve as a basis for greater efficiency or greater effectiveness through system procedures, greater employee motivation and commitment through participation in the planning process. And there is also another objective you can classify, saying that planning for results instead of just planning for the work. So in management by objectives practice, specified objectives are determined. That is, it is determined jointly by the managers along with the subordinates, and together they progress towards the agreed upon objectives, and it is periodically reviewed also, and results are evaluated and rewards are allocated on the basis of the progress. Right? So based on this, if you say me what is an MBO, I have given you the definition of MBO. So then I will say A is true, which is assertion. That is, MBO is effective way of planning and organizing, but employees participate in setting the objectives. It's not only the employees who participate in the setting of the objectives, it's the management, it's all the employees, all the managers, they sit together, and that is how it is planned, reviewed, everything is done in a united way, right? So it's not only depending on the employees to set the objectives. So accordingly, A is right, but R is first. So we have option number 3 to be correct. That is, A is true, but R is false. So I will mark this answer. Next, moving on to question number 53. See, question number 53 has matched the following list. So match list 1 with list 2 and select the correct answer using the codes given below the list. List 1 has principles of management, B, management by objectives, C, human resource approach school, and D is human relations. In list 2, we have Douglas McGregor, Chester Barnard, Henry Fayol, George Mayo, Peter Drucker, right? And we have a series of codes that is given to us. Now, let's see principle of management. Principle of management will be taken as George Elton Mayo. Okay, Elton Mayo's management principle actually focused on the worker and not on just the work. Okay, in contrast to the previous contributors to management, which had already focused on the work only, but Mayo focused on the worker. Okay, so he took account of the mind as well as the body of the employee and recognized that we are social animals being part of a group or a team, and it is not only important to us but natural, and their management strategy should take this into consideration, right? So next, moving on to management by objectives, which is the number B for us. Okay, so B will be 5, which is Peter Drucker. Okay, why? Because the term management by objectives was very popular and it was popularized by Peter Drucker in 1954. In one of his book, he had written called The Practice of Management. So accordingly, Peter Drucker will be the option to B. So B is 5. So C then, next we have C. C as human resource approach school. Human resource approach school is basically Chester Barnard or Mary Parker Follett and Chester Barnard were early advocates of a more humanistic perspective on management, and that emphasized the importance of understanding human behaviors, needs, their attitudes in the workplace, as well as social interactions and group processes. So that was it. So, human resource approach school, that comes to the answer with Chester Barnard or C. Barnard. Next, we have human relations. So, human relations, that will be, we are left only with one answer, that is McGregor or Douglas McGregor. That's the answer to this number 1. That is McGregor's theory and the theory. See, McGregor's theory X and theory Y. Okay, where the foundation of the human side of enterprise. Okay, so theory X was based on a philosophy that does not treat employees as human beings, and that is implemented by dictatorial style of management. Whereas on the other side, if we talk about theory Y treats employee in a dignified manner and involves them fully. It is very clear that the human side of enterprise that is written by him marked the beginning of the human relations movement in the field of management, right? So McGregor strongly believed that organizations that best utilize the human element and the associated potential were the ones that would likely succeed in the present time or in the near future. So that was his concept. So I have given you a lot of information about human relations and its entities, what it requires and what not. So accordingly, then we can say option number 4 to be the correct answer. See, that has A to be 4, B 5, C 2, and D 1. Right. So that is what we had been discussing since so long. So option number 4 is the correct answer to question number 53. Okay. Next, moving on to question number 54. Question number 54 says management by objectives is implemented in an organization by stages. One such stage action plan includes assigning responsibilities for achieving objectives, choosing strategies appropriate to the objectives, allocating resources for achieving objectives, scheduling specific activities to achieve maximized resource utilization. Identify from the following combinations the correct sequence in which the action planning stages are implemented. Okay, so we have a series of codes that can be followed. So see, which will be accordingly, right? We have to identify which will be one after another, right? So management by objectives, which is the MBO, right? MBO is the first step to define the organizational objectives. These are determined by the top management, एकदम top management, and usually in consultation with other managers. Once these goals are established, they should be made known to all the members. In setting these objectives, it is always very necessary to identify key result areas or KRA. Okay, key result areas which we say. In the second step, the subordinates will work with the managers to determine their individual goals, what is asked out of them. In this way, everyone gets involved in the goal setting. Next, coming to the third step. In the third step, management must ensure that the subordinates are provided with necessary tools and also the materials to achieve their goals. Right? So, allocation of resources should also be done in consultation with the subordinates. Now, coming to the fourth step. In this fourth step, after objectives are established and resources are allocated, the subordinates can implement the plan. If any guidance or clarification or help is required, they can contact their superiors for that. Next, coming to the final step. The final step involves periodic review and progress between the manager and the subordinates. Now, such reviews would determine if the progress is satisfactory or, if the subordinate is facing some problems or challenges. Now, performance appraisal at these reviews should be conducted based on fair and measurable standards, right? So, with the steps or with the series or list of steps that I have given, so first comes 2, then 1. Let's mark accordingly. First is 2, then 1, then 3, and then we have 4. Okay, so 2, 1, 3, and 4 is the correct sequence wise answer. So accordingly, we have option number 4 to be our correct answer, right? So 2, 1, 3, and 4. Next, moving on to question number 55, right? What is a BIS? So many of you all might already know the full form. So let's still discuss. BIS has 5 options: Business Information System, Business of Industrial Skill, Bureau of Indian Standards. Only 1 and 2 and none of this. See, only 1 and 2 will definitely not be, because BIS cannot have 2 full forms of it, right? So then moving on to the third one, which is Bureau of Indian Standards. The Bureau of Indian Standards, which is called the BIS in short form, is the national standards body of India, which works under the aegis of Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Food and Public Distribution under the Government of India. So BIS full form is Bureau of Indian Standards. Next, moving on to question number 56. Again, this is a match the following. So we have a matching list. We match list 1 activity with list 2, which is the associated organization. Okay. And select the correct answer by using the codes given below the list. In the list 1, we have mutual fund, public issue of capital, forward option, option pricing. And in list 2, we have the stock exchange, asset management company, merchant banking, and forex marketing. So these are the list 1 and list 2s that we have, right? So in this question, see, this is mainly speaking about a foreign market, stock market, or it is talking about options and forwards, all this, right? So in this, I will say, see, the first one that we have, that is mutual fund, right? Mutual fund is A, right? Accordingly, I will say that it will be asset management company. Now, why? In India, basically, mutual funds work like a trust, and they are legally called asset management companies. Okay. Each of the mutual funds, or that we say just now, asset management companies that I told you, launches various mutual fund schemes with various objectives. And as you see various advertisements that they are subject to the market risks. So mutual funds work like a trust and they are legally called asset management company, right? So the first answer we have already got, right? So next, moving on to the next one. So mutual fund is asset management company. Okay. So next we have B. Let's go to B. Public issue of capital. Okay. So public issue of capital will be merchant banking, right? Public issue of capital. What is the public issue of capital? One of the functions of merchant banking is issue of management. So management issues refers to effective marketing of corporate securities like, equity shares, preference shares, debentures, or bonds by offering them to the public. So merchant banks, as uh, we can consider them as intermediaries, or they act as intermediaries whose main job is to transfer capital from those who own it to those who need it. Right? Next, moving on to the third one, that is forward trading. Okay, moving on to forward trading. Forward trading will be forex market. From the name itself, you can understand one way to deal with the forex exchange or the foreign exchange risk is to engage in a forward transaction. In this transaction, what happens? Money does not actually change hands until some agreed upon future date is done. A buyer and a seller agree on an exchange rate for a date in the future. Okay. And the transaction occurs on that particular date, regardless of what the market rates are pursuing then. The duration of the trade can be 1 day, few days, months, or years. It depends from the agreement that you have made. Usually, the date is decided by both the parties. Okay. Then the forward contract is negotiated and agreed upon by both the parties. Okay. Next, moving on to the last one, that is option pricing. Okay. The last thing we have in this one is option pricing. And for this, only one option is left, that is the stock exchange, right? So stock options are options that are based upon individual stocks. You can take any examples, Philips, Sony, anything, which is known as the underlying stock, or in simply we can say as the stock that is lying. So stock options give the right for the buyer or the potential obligation for the seller to buy and sell the underlying stock at a specific price, either on or before a specific date, that is before the expiration date, right? So then accordingly, if I guess I have explained all the four, then I think option number 4 is the correct one, right? So this is what we have discussed. A will be 2, that is, if you see mutual fund will be option number 2, which is, I just now told you, asset management company. Then for public issue of capital, we have merchant banking. Then for forward trading, we have forex marketing. And for option pricing, we have stock exchange. So this is the correct answer. Next, moving on to question number 57. 57 is also a coding one, which has got a lot of codes and series. So let's move on. Which of the following are methods of market new issues of security? Listing of securities, jobbers and brokers, private placement of securities, privileged subscriptions. So these are the 4 options that we have. So accordingly, it says, which of the following are the methods of market new issues of security? Okay. See, listing of securities is not the measure, right? Then coming to jobbers and brokers, they are also not related to issuing of new securities, right? Let's see. Among the giving options that we have, methods of marketing or methods of market new issues of securities that we see in the market, maybe private placement, that is the sale of securities to a relatively small number of select investors for raising the capital. Investors involved in private placements are usually large banks, mutual funds, insurance companies, pension fund holders, or private placements where they can raise a lot of funds. Okay, so private placement is the opposite of a public issue, in which securities are available only for the sale in the open market. Now, if you talk about the privileged subscription, there is another way of raising new issue of securities, which is the privileged subscription. Now, the issuance of new stock in which existing stockholders are given preference in purchasing new shares up to the proportion of shares they already own. If we talk in such a way, an owner of 5% of all the issuing firm's outstanding stock would be permitted to buy 5% of the new issue at a special rate below the current market price. So that is the privilege that he has been offered. So that is why it is called privileged subscription, because you were already an existing customer and that is why you have this. So then we have option 3 and 4 to be the correct one, that is private placement of securities and privileged subscription. These are the two options left with us. So accordingly, our code will be code number 3, that is option number 3 and 4 together. Next, moving on to question number 58. SEBI was established in the year 1993, 1992, 1998, 1990, and none of this. Okay. SEBI, the full form of SEBI is Securities and Exchange Board of India, which is frequently also called or abbreviated as SEBI. It is the regulator for the securities market in India, and it was established in the year 1988 and was given the statutory power on 12th of April 1992 through the SEBI Act of 1992. Okay, so accordingly we have it was established in the year of 1988. So you might many know that SEBI Act is in 1992, but it was the different date. It was established in 1992 and the authorities came into power in 1992. So it was established in 1992, but we will talk about the power that was established basically in 1988. So 58th answer is number 3. Next, moving on to question number 59. Increase in the net RBI credit for central government represents budgetary deficit, revenue deficit, fiscal deficit, monetized deficit, or none of this. Okay, now what is a monetized deficit? Monetized deficit or deficit in finance is the net increase in the Reserve Bank credit to central government, which is the sum of increase in RBI's holding of Government of India dated currency, treasury bills, rupee coins, loans or advances from the Reserve Bank of India to center since April 1st, 1997. Okay. So accordingly, we have monetized deficit as the correct answer. So 59th answer will be option number 4, which is monetized deficit. Next, moving on to question number 60. The famous book, The Philosophy of Management, was written by Henry Fayol, Oliver Sheldon, F.W. Taylor, Orwick, or none of this. It was written by Oliver Sheldon, who was the author of the book, The Philosophy of Management. So Oliver Sheldon is the correct answer. So we have option number 2, Oliver Sheldon as the correct answer. Right? So I will mark this as the correct answer, Oliver Sheldon. So in this video, students, we have discussed all the questions from 51 to 60. I hope it had been quite clear in understanding. And do keep on watching the next videos for the further discussion of the paper. Also, you can refer to the previous videos for the questions which have already been discussed. So thank you for watching me. Stay happy, stay safe. Thank you.